Hi, I'm Realtor Scott Garrison, one of the top realtors in Central Florida, and I'm here with Building Inspector Mike Hayman. Say hi, Mike.
Hello, everybody. Mike Hayman, property inspector, certified master inspector with InterNACHI. How's everybody doing today?
And what's the name of your company?
We are Liberty Property Inspections. We do home inspections, commercial inspections, wind mitigations, and a few others we can talk about here shortly.
Perfect. So I've been a realtor for 26 years, and I've probably been to not as many inspections as you, but I've probably been to 500 of them in my life. And I've seen good inspectors, seen bad inspectors. I met you at a Board of Realtors function where
That's
you were
correct.
looking for new business, right?
Yes, sir.
We started working together. And the thing that I like about working with Mike the best is that it is a small company. You can't see he's off camera, but his son is here. You call the office. His daughter, Quinn,
Yep.
there. She's very professional. But so often I've worked with these big corporate companies who they're in a hurry. They're a lot more expensive, to be
Right.
candid. They don't do as good of a job, and they're just kind of rush it. And you're not like a real person to them. Or I work with an individual inspector who is Bob, who does it out of his garage. And it's painful. I've been on so many inspections. It's actually painful to watch them do the inspection to see the things they don't know,
All right.
or the things that they say wrong to the client that'll get them upset and cause them to get unduly upset. So tell us a little bit about how you got in the business and what did you do before this?
Good question. So I grew up in a world of contractor grandfathers, and my father had a remodeling company. So growing up, I've always built houses, learned how to do from the ground up, the labor, the haul off, the sawing, the measuring, all the dirt jobs up into eventually I started helping run little small crews of punch-out guys for my grandfathers up in Georgia. So,
And how old were you then?
10, 11, 12.
Wow, so as a little kid.
Yeah, but we always grew up and were raised to do things, learn how to do things that nowadays you got video games. Back then we went and built stuff, and took things apart to figure out how they work. So I've always been around construction. I went to the police academy after a bit in the Army, and I worked for the Orange County Sheriff's Office.
How long were you in the Army for?
Short period of time, just over a year, and I got ran over. So I discharged on a medical.
Nice, okay.
And then got myself back to health and had a decision: do I want to go back to the military or do I want to go into law enforcement? Because I had an uncle that was a chief of police in East Point. So followed his path into law enforcement, did that for 15 years. And during that 15-year time, my dad had his remodeling company, and I would help him.
And where were you, sheriff's deputy? Is what you
Yep, here in Orange County,
did you-
Florida.
In Orange County, okay, great.
Excellent job, had a great time with it. But after 15 years, it was time to take a little more time for the family and take a step back and breathe. So I would help my dad during that time with his remodeling. And I learned a lot there. And when I retired, I started a remodeling business. So did that until the market crashed, and everybody remembers that, and we lost everything. And business-wise, so everybody went through some hard times, right?
Yeah,
you got to reinvent yourself a little bit. So I got hooked up with a FEMA subcontractor and started doing disaster inspections. And then from there, I progressed into doing home inspections, met a home inspector, and worked for that company for about a year, and then started my own. And that was 4 years ago I started my own.
Oh, perfect. You've grown a lot since then. So it's not just you. Most of the time, especially for my clients, I always try to request to get Mike personally, although you do have other inspectors that work with you in your small business, right?
Yes,
you have
we
3
do.
or 4?
Started out my own,
Uh-huh.
and after my first year, my goal was to put on one person, and I did that. And we've since now built to 4 inspectors, counting me. I have 2 ladies and 2 gentlemen,
Perfect.
myself and Dennis, and Nicole and Cheyenne. And we're all InterNACHI certified and licensed through the state of Florida. We do all of our education through InterNACHI, so we try to stay on the forefront of what's going on in our industry.
So when you say the state of Florida, you really pretty much serve about, you were telling me, the 7 counties around Central Florida. Is that right?
Correct.
So what counties would you, if someone's looking, they would like to hire you, where would you go?
So to break that down a little bit, being licensed in Florida, we're licensed through the DBPR, and so we can go anywhere in the state of Florida, but we concentrate on 7 counties, which is Orange, Seminole, Osceola, Volusia, Brevard, Lake, and Polk. With 4 of us, I have 2 inspectors that live towards the south end, 1 southeast, 1 central south. 1 inspector lives east, and I'm out towards the west. And really, our office is our mobile office, but we do have an office where Quinn runs our calendar schedule, converses with clients and takes care of things like that, and that's based here in Longwood.
Perfect. Now, one of the advantages of working with you over some other inspectors of you two is you're a building inspector, so people hire you to do a building inspection. You're inspecting the home, but you're also a licensed termite inspector. Is that correct?
Correct. We're also licensed termite inspector underneath a fully licensed pest control operator. So we're able to provide the termite inspection along with the home inspection, and we found that's cut down on wait time for clients. Sometimes you've got to try to coordinate having the termite inspector there from a separate company and the home inspector there. And then if you have things like septic tanks and wells, you've got all those people. So sometimes it becomes a very tedious scheduling process. And we found that this has made it very simple and streamlined a little bit for the client. So
right. The thing I like best, I think, is that if you're not a licensed termite inspector and you see carpenter ants or termites or wasps, the inspector actually has to say, I'm not really qualified to even tell you. And so a lot of times when you see stuff like that on your normal inspection, it is extra to purchase a termite inspection, which your lender doesn't really require anymore, hardly at all. So a lot of times they'll get the benefit of the termite inspection, and you're actually qualified to say, yes, there's really termites, or those are carpenter ants, and it's not a big deal, but you can actually give us an opinion. Sounds so minor, but if you don't use a company like Mike, who's a licensed termite inspector, what they're going to do is you're going to pay money to get someone out there, and they're going to look at you and say, you know, you should really come back out on another day and pay more money to somebody else.
Correct. And say what we do is we separate the two. So we do the home inspection, and then we go back after we've looked through the entire house, and then we do our termite inspection as well.
If needed.
And so now we've done, correct, if needed, now we've done more than just the normal termite inspection. It's almost like getting 2 termite inspections in one because we've been over the house already since we've been there doing the regular inspection. And then we're picking up on those subtle anomalies that you look for when looking for any kind of termite damage, things like that. So.
And one of the differences, if you're thinking about getting another inspector that Mike can't see, that I see, is so many inspectors, I say it's painful to go out there. You'll pay money for an inspector, get dressed up, you're all out there, you're at the inspection, the AC cooling differential is not correct, or they pull the electrical panel off and there's some, I don't even know what you call it, double tap, missing spacer thing, right? And he looks at you and says, well, you really need to get a licensed electrician or licensed AC person. And they're like, why did I pay someone to tell me that I needed to get a licensed specialty out? Is it working? Is it not? And Mike is good, and he'll tell you that. Very rarely is he going to say you need to get a licensed AC contractor out there, which just means you're paying more money and spending more time, right?
Only if it's something that we find that's going to be requiring that service.
Exactly.
And then we make it easy for clients. Simple, easy to understand, clear and concise. We don't try to talk above anyone's head. We try to talk directly with a client in terms that they're used to and understand.
And one of the things that, if you're also comparing other ones, is we won't get into the pricing because things change over time. Who knows when people are looking at this? Correct. But relatively speaking to most building inspectors, you're the same or cheaper by the time people look at the whole inspection cost. But in addition to that, because you're in law enforcement, you have a nice soft spot for different teachers and things. So tell us about that. So you've got the cost of building inspector, and you give discounts to which people?
Good question there too. So we do give back to our public service folks. So law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, teachers, nurses, and military, active or former. We give what's called wind mitigation. It's an insurance inspection,
which is worth about $100.
Correct. Normally they're $100. We do them for $50 for normal clients. For the aforementioned folks, we do free.
Good, which is
a way for us to give back.
Which is a big saving. So you're actually going to be saving money, and that seems like that's almost half of my clients are a teacher or former military, somebody, right? And so it ends up being actually much cheaper than using a big corporate, much more personal. And obviously the thing that you get that you can't, like, think about your doctor, what you really don't get is the doctor's degree. You really get that doctor's personality, their training, their experience, and how they relate. And I've seen Mike out on 100 inspections or more.
Pretty close, yeah.
People love him. They're always happy. I've never one time had someone say, I didn't understand. I wasn't happy. Sometimes even, if I can't be there, I just have the client go out and meet with Mike. Mike has a electronic lockbox key that realtors have. He can get into the property. And I call them afterwards and say, how was it? And they're like, it was great. It was fine. I've never even had a hint of anything like where someone wasn't unsatisfied, which is highly unusual for almost anything that we would hire anyone for, including your accountant, your doctor, your vet.
Right.
the guy at McDonald's, almost always you're like, and I never hear that. And that's why I use Mike over and over. So I do use other building inspectors, of course, just like you know lots of other realtors,
Right.
but almost always I'll refer or recommend that they call you first. And the purpose of this video so you can get a feel for them so you're not surprised when we show up at the actual inspection. Anything else that you think makes you different or gives you is a reason why someone would want to work with you? If they're looking around thinking, do I need an inspection, or maybe I'm going to hire my own building inspector. I found some guy who's my brother's friend. I should use that.
What I tell people is do a little bit of research. Call a couple people. Don't be afraid to ask what kind of education they have. Where did they go to school? Are they licensed? And which governing body do they belong to? Like I said, we belong to InterNACHI, but InterNACHI is also who provides the balance of the education required to be able to take the test in Florida to become a licensed home inspector. And that's the thing with Florida is there is a licensure requirement. So there's a lot that goes with that. And in our company, we do ongoing training all year long. We don't just wait for the continuing education requirements. We're always going back through and updating our education, whether it's basic inspection techniques, any new updates on termite WDO type of things like that, what's new in the world of venting, things of that nature. So for an example on that, PVC has always been, hasn't been used for venting out hot gases in residential applications. Now it can be, Schedule 40 can be used to vent out the hot gases from, say, a water heater or a gas furnace. And that was something that just came out I believe last year. But up until that point, it was not approved. So now it is, but not everyone knows. So we try to stay on those forefronts, and we have great relationships with some of the other trades that are out there, AC companies, roofers. So if there's something we don't know, I'll tell you we don't know, but I'll find the answer, and I'll make every effort I can to find an answer and help point you in the right direction.
For instance, recently we just did an inspection, and it was a pretty complicated pool inspection. There was a bunch of little things, but a whole bunch of little things wrong. And so you pointed out something, but you referred a really awesome pool inspector to my buyer who went out there and only
great.
a couple bucks, and he was really happy with it, right?
And that's what you want. So we do a pool overview, and that's a good spot to bring up. We do a pool overview. We live in Florida. A lot of houses have pools. We do an overview based on just the visual components that we can see. However, there's a lot more that goes with a pool system, even things such as water chemical makeup that will lend to the wear of a pool system to include the pool itself and the surfaces. Those are things we can't test for, and we can't tell you is the saltwater generator working properly or not, but a licensed pool person can. And so what we put together for a client is kind of like a punch list for them to go over with that pool professional just to make sure they've got that checklist, and then let the pool professional finish the rest of it. Had an example of one where a pool professional got everything done, and it's probably Fran, the gentleman that went to your clients, put the brand new cartridge filter in, the other one was clogged dirty, and when he put it up to, and it built up to the normal pressure, it blew out the bottom inlet. And then he found out after he got everything dried off that inlet had been repaired once with like super glue or something along those lines, and that repair didn't hold when it needed to hold. And those are things we can't find out. Those are things that they can find out.
So you can tell that he knows his stuff. You know, when you hire a doctor or an accountant or a vet, they want to make it simple, but you're hoping there's a whole body, a lifetime, since you were 11, a lifetime of information that is behind that. So when he makes a simple recommendation, you know it's worth having. But ultimately, if you're thinking about hiring a building inspector, probably the best thing to do is to get a realtor like me, who you feel comfortable with, and go with their recommendation. I hardly ever have seen someone find their own building inspector and have it be a good inspection that they were satisfied with. I've been out with Mike lots and lots and lots and lots of times. I know what to expect, and because I know you're going to get consistent service, that's why I recommend people like him, and that's probably why you should call him too. Now, his contact information is going to be at the bottom of this video, so you can just scroll down and you can see that if you want to contact him directly and set up an inspection anytime. And you work 7 days a week?
We work 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. I can cover a Sunday if there's, and in the world of real estate and buying a house, sometimes it doesn't always go 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So we do try to accommodate that. Having 4 inspectors gives us the ability for short inspection periods as well. So case by case, phones open at 8. We close the phones down at 7. Saturday phones open at 9 and close them down at 3. But I've been out there 7 days a week sometimes just to make sure the clients are taken care of and everything flows smoothly. Because real estate's already got a lot of nuances that I'm sure we try to smooth out at least our portion as much as possible.
So if you're even thinking about hiring a building inspector, you want to use Mike Hayman and his team at Liberty Property Inspections. I recommend him. Many other realtors recommend him too. You're actually on social media, a couple of different sites. I know you're getting lots of reviews from your clients as well. So if you just Google him, you start researching, you're going to find that he's highly respected. He's affordable. No reason not to give him a call.
Yep, and we belong to Better Business Bureau. Good standings with them. You can find us on Facebook and Google.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Bye.